Hello and welcome back to another episode of the League of Inches podcast, and welcome to the official launch of Inches from Kickoff, a brand new podcast, I guess, where we talk about everything as news for the week so far. We'll give you our opinions on any of the new headlines that we've missed post-Sunday show. We'll give you our tips, our best bets, thanks to bets.com.au, and basically TLT talking points, any of the key talking points that come out of TLT as well. You name it, it's all in this show. So it's fantastic. Myself and Brent are along for it once again. And thank you to our major sponsor, Caxton Brewing Company, for sponsoring the show and the podcast one more time. Really, really appreciate it. Really looking forward to the show, guys. The logo and everything, you can see it now up in this little corner that I'll put into. It's awesome. I love everything that's getting put together. Shout out to, I've got to get his name right, Mick _makes_art. So he reached out to the page a little bit ago, and you've probably seen some of the cool logos popping up for the draft and stuff like that as well. I've got a really cool one you've seen there for the press box coming up with myself and Isaac as well, which is a cool logo. He reached out a couple of months ago, wanted to help out, wanted to spruce up a few little things and stuff. I didn't personally said at the start, I didn't want anything to get touched with this logo because I think it's one of the ones that everyone's starting to identify with, and the page is really starting to kick off numbers wise and stuff. So I just didn't want to change it. We had that small change recently where we put the establishment date, and that was sort of it. But we sort of had spoken since, and we've just been able to play around with different sort of things and bring a few more sort of personalized touches to the page, which I think has been really cool. So shout out to Mick. Please go. You'll see him tagged on a number of our posts. I'll tag it on this one as well. Go ahead, give him some love if you can. He's fantastic at what he does. If you've got a podcast out there, your business or something like that, you're wanting to spruce up your logos, go reach out to Mick, please. He does a fantastic job. But Brent, let's check in. How's things, mate?
Jolly, how are you, brother? Good to be back as always. Mate, they say a week's a long time in rugby league. It feels like 3 days is a long time in rugby league with the amount of stuff that's going on at the moment. But, mate, brilliant to be back here. Looking forward to round 3 and getting down and dirty with you this evening, mate. And shout out to Mick. Mick's artwork, cracker. I love the Isaac and your press box one. I saw that today. That was a ripper, mate. So love his work.
That's a pretty cool one. I hope I look like that when I'm a bit older. I think that guy looks smoking hot. So thanks, Mick, for that little spruce up. I really needed it at the moment. I was just looking at myself a bit rough at the moment. It's been a big week. You're absolutely right, though. And just to peel back the curtain a little bit, we were going to originally have this as just like a big preview show coming into the week and obviously preview games and stuff like that. But what we've realised is there's so much news happening at the moment and will be throughout the season that everything post-Sunday, like there's so much to actually catch up on and talk about. So hence why we'll add that in at the start of the show. Then we'll go into that sort of thing through the back half. So I've seen a few of you message and stuff as well through YouTube and everything like that. If you see me looking down and writing and stuff throughout the episode, I am trying to do my best with timestamps. I'm only human. I'm got to try and do a few things, but I promise now I will do my best to get timestamps included with our shows moving forward. They might be a bit rough, but bear with me, please. And I have a producer. If you're at uni or something and you're wanting to do some stuff live practice or something, reach out, please. Happy to have a chat to you, see what we can organise. If you're out there just wanting to do a bit more producing work or whatever, get some credit for it, please reach out. Always happy to have a chat, and it will help us out massively. I know that for sure. Let's get straight into some footy chat, though, Brent, because coming off fresh, I'm glad we're here tonight because I've got to say, I just watched NRL360 about an hour or so ago, and Gordie Tallis and Peter Badel went absolutely hammer and tong. I thought the gloves were about to come out, and probably Gordie would have towed him up in that. But I think verbally, Pete may have got a victory. But I want to peel back what they're talking about a little bit, and that's Adam Reynolds and this whole injury, the optics behind it. Now, obviously, if most people now realise what's happening and the like, but what Gordie's real gripe is with this at the moment, and he's basically just saying the optics aren't quite looking too good, is obviously Adam Reynolds had the rib injury after the game on Thursday night to the Eels. Friday, he was on a plane and doing some Fox Sports media work for that Friday night show that they do in between both the games that are on. Optically, and to be fair, I don't like, and well, there's a second part to this about Gordie that I'll get into after, but just this original point, I can sort of understand what he is saying. I think optically it's not the best look. You're captain of the club. You've had any rib injury. You're now out for this week as well. I love how they named him to try and get out of last night's NRL360 episode. It looks like there was a bit of ducks and drapes being played by the Broncos there. Funnily enough, when that show finished, they then announced the fact that he wasn't going to be playing, which I just find funny in this modern day. They knew exactly what they were doing with that. But what's your initial thoughts, Brent, around the whole optics around this Adam Reynolds injury and doing the within 24 hours, where you listen to most people, they say that's a big part of the recovery. And I don't think flying and that would have impacted this much at all or further in injured Reynolds. I just feel like optically it may not have been the best look.
Mate, I think the most pressure on his ribs was the tightness of that suit he was wearing that night, if I'm honest. He was busting out of the thing. So, yeah, look, it's an interesting one. I think, he had the biceps popping out. Good on him. But, yeah, I think maybe a size bigger on the suit would also help a little bit next time. But, no, look, mate, he's I think for me, these guys are professionals, right? They obviously have medical teams and advice that they're getting, and I totally get the optics part of it, but I'm sure they're not going to put him into any jeopardy as far as, if he's got some commitments that he has with Fox, and if he was really dusty and that bad, I'm sure he wouldn't have gone ahead with it. The angle that's interesting, obviously, Jolie, for me, is that whole Gordie bashing the Broncos. He just can't let up, can he? That's obviously the big part of this. He just can't seem to leave him alone ever since, Kevy's been pushed out of there and Madge has come in. Anything he can do to sort of throw him under the bus, he's happy to do it. I didn't actually see that tonight. I know we were just having a quick chat before we went live and before we launched tonight. I'll have to go and have a look exactly what went down. But it sounds like it was interesting. Had a few people mention it to me before this, so keen to go have a look at that. But what's Gordie's issue? I think, we all know that he's mates with Kev. He went over on the Ashes tour with him in an interesting position he got there as well. They're obviously well affiliated, but at some point, mate, you just got to let the water go under the bridge and let it go, champ. Like, I don't know. It's interesting. Is he trying to get Kevy back in the gig or something? I just find that funny. But as far as the A-Ray bit, I get it, but again, it's not like A-Ray's just gone out on a whim and these guys are, getting some pretty good medical advice, and I'm sure he wouldn't have even flown if it had been that much of an issue. But, I could probably see a little bit of it not looking good, but it's a fair suck of the sauce bottle from old Gordie, I reckon.
Mate, there's a very clear agenda there by Gordie, and we sort of mentioned it off air with a quick chat before we hit play, but it's got to the point now. It's a year and a half on. You just move on. You get over it. Kevy's clearly not going back into that seat anytime soon, if ever. So I don't know why you're holding on to something. So just leave it. Kevy's now looks like he's loving life. He's the Australian coach. He's got a World Cup coming up potentially. No one's actually confirmed if he's going to be the coach or not yet, but I'm going to assume by this stage he probably will be. You've got him on Fox as well, so they're hanging out. They're best mates or something apparently. So obviously there's a bit there personally, but I don't really get it. It's just time to really move on, I feel like. And anytime they talk about the Broncos, you can see, and it just becomes really cringy in my opinion. And I said it a few times last year, I'm not the biggest fan of Gordie on NRL360. I just feel like he's not quite that person, especially because we've been used to people like Kenty that sit in that seat who are very opinionated, may rub a lot of people up the wrong way, but you know what you get with Kenty. You get a pretty entertaining show, and he won't mince his words. Gordie, I guess at times won't mince his words when it suits him to protect someone and things like that. I just think there's probably better people out there that could suit that seat personally. And I'm just finding these little personal gripes that he holds on to for so long a little bit awkward and just loses me a little bit on that show, which I absolutely love. I watch it religiously. So it's just a shame that is happening. Moving on to another story, though, that's been just in the headlines all week. It seems like it's settled down for now. That is Bronson Xerri staying at the Bulldogs again for now. So make of that what you will. I'm going to make a prediction right now, Brent. I want to see if you agree. I don't think Bronson Xerri will be at the Bulldogs for, I'm going to say, a maximum of the next month. I think within the next month, Bronson Xerri will be at another club. I can't see this continuing on. I think the way he's carried on is probably a bit unprofessional. Now, we don't know the backstory. I find it a bit strange that just from being dropped, that's the only reason for him doing this. I think there's there surely has to be something else involved here. But what are you thinking?
Yeah, I haven't heard too much more on it apart from when that initial story broke. So don't know how breakfast with Gus went. Don't know what happened there. But as we all know with rugby league, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. So I'm assuming something's going on there for the media to be leaking it as well. And there's certainly a number of clubs that could probably use a centre, to be honest. And yeah, it's one of those things. I like we've sort of touched on previously. His form probably wasn't the best to start the year, but I certainly think he's got plenty of offer. So I think he would definitely be appealing to some clubs. It would be really interesting to find out why exactly, and yeah, as we've touched on before, if he's the kind of guy that's just throwing the toys out of the cot because he's been told he's getting dropped, it's probably not someone you want at your club. But, we probably don't know half the truth of a lot of things that go on. So
It's just quickly on that. It's also something I find really interesting at the moment because optically it feels like optically is going to be the word of the show. Actually, we've said it a few. I've never said that word in my life. I feel like today I've said it 4 or 5 times already. Optically, though, let's say it again. Have a drink every time we say it. It just seems so out of the ordinary. This is a guy that let's not cover it. Peter Badel said it tonight on the show. He was effectively caught doing the wrong thing with drugs and performance enhancing drugs. He's come back. He's fought so hard. He was out of the game for 4 years. So seriously, most people probably would go, you know what, F the game. I'm not coming back. There's no point. He's worked his absolute ass off. He's come back. But apparently, by all reports from everyone you talk to in and around the game at the Bulldogs and everything, he's A-class. Like, he's a top guy and does all the right things on and off the field, everything like that now. He's a huge redemption story. I think we've seen on the field he's been pretty good since his return. I think maybe Vegas and a little bit of back end of last year, he wasn't fantastic, a little bit of form. And to be honest, if it was just a proper dropping, I could probably wear it as well. I'll go, you know what? I don't think he's been fantastic in Vegas. So if they've got something they want to sort out, no worries. But he's now being pushed into the media, and the way it's coming across is he's had a bit of a sook, throwing the toys out of the cotton. Like you said, there's plenty of clubs at the moment that would want a centre, but would you want a guy who's going to just go, if you're risking, all right, we've got this good club culture at the moment. If this guy's going to come in and after, I don't know, 3-4 months, if he's not playing well, do we just have to have him in the team because we don't want him to basically cry about it type thing and kick up a big shitstorm and we're in the media and blah, blah, blah? Because now his management has a huge problem on their hands because they've got to find a way to, while he's at the Dogs and if he wants to stay there, get the narrative back into the fact that there's some other truths behind what's happened here. Because at the moment, it just looks like Bronson's had the toys out of the cot moment, and it doesn't look good for him.
Yeah, and to be honest, Joey, like how much can you believe and read into what we hear from the media? Like,
especially Gus.
Like you can take it with a grain of salt, but. Yeah, I guess back to the footy side of it, if he was to drop into like a Melbourne system or something like that, Moses Leo's been great, but he was a massive liability for them in defence on the weekend. I think Val showed him up big time and, he's still young and just introduced to first grade, but he could land in a centre spot in Melbourne and drastically sort of tighten up that left edge for him potentially. And I think he'd be great in that sort of thing. I don't think he's the sort of player that a club can depend on being like obviously an elite superstar sort of centre signing or anything like that. But there's every chance he'd take unders, go to Melbourne and go, well, I'm going to slide in here and I'm a good chance to win the comp this year and be a great addition and really strengthen them up. If not, give them some added depth and competition for spots. So, it's certainly interesting. I thought that they were building some good stuff there at the Dogs. And, over the years, we saw it last year as well. Xerri's played left and right. He hasn't always stayed on the left. I think he's better on the left. But, yeah, it's just one of those ones. It's hard to get a read on it when you don't know what's actually going on. And I don't always like to take what you hear from the media just at face value. You'd love to sort of hear a player come out or just get something confirmed. But I don't know. It's going to be a tricky one. As far as I don't know how long he's got left on his contract, but like I said, I could see him land into a already pretty decent club and making them a little bit stronger, which would be an interesting signing.
The Bulldogs are in a bit of an interesting stage of, I guess, his whole rebuild as well, because like you sort of just mentioned, the Bulldogs in the last 6 months, let's just talk about, they basically they haven't been great at dropping players or like it just seems to always carry something in the media and it just becomes a shitstorm. I'm talking obviously Reed, the way they dealt with Reed. Toby Sexton wasn't fantastic, even though he was the ultra professional in amongst that and just kept going basically. But you could tell it didn't really go with the playing group too well. Now you got Bronson's situation. Like there's just a few things at the moment where I can understand what the Dogs are doing though, because I think most people out there would say the Dogs are a great side, but I don't think they're quite a premiership threat at this stage. It's just that little one or two things that just need to be upgraded to then become that ultra sort of premiership winning capable side. But what happens here, and we've seen this time and time again, is where you get a team and Serrato's come in there and they've built this team who was basically wooden spooners up to what they've now are after 3-4 years. When you've got a majority of that squad who's been together for 3 or 4 years and gone through the hard yards, and now they've got to this stage and they're going, how good's this? Like, we're actually going to be playing finals. We're a shot at getting a ring. When you lose a couple of those core sort of guys that's been in and amongst things for a while now, so all three of those guys basically have been, it can cause a few ruffles in amongst the playing group. So this is just another one now where you felt like the off-season was the best time for him just to get over everything that happened last year. The optics now behind things. They've gone on to this one now. It's just sort of, there's a little bit behind the scenes where I just keep thinking to myself, we're sort of seeing this again. We're seeing this 6 months ago. It's not fantastic.
Yeah, and look, the writing's on the wall. He's been dropped from the squad. He's not even in the team, the 21 this week. So if the rumours are true that he's had a spit because he's been told he's been dropped, or he has been dropped, they haven't tried to save face on it or anything like that. And Serrato's been like that. He doesn't care if whatever's right for the team, he'll do it. Look what they did with Galvin last year. I think that was, whilst I think Galvin is a great young player, I think ripping Sexton out when they were, I think they hadn't lost a game for the year. Bringing Galvin in the way they did just completely destabilised and derailed what they were building, to be honest, and they never really recovered. We all saw that. So yeah, there's probably a little bit of PR management there for the doggies, for sure, Jolie, but where Xerri ends up is going to be very interesting, and if he ends up at a good club, he could be a good little pickup.
Yeah, there'll be many clubs over the next couple of weeks. I'm sure if something does happen, I predict it will. That will put their hand up for Xerri as well. Moving on with something that dropped this afternoon, which caught me by surprise. I sort of forgot about this part of things. So Mitch Barnett, it hasn't been officially announced, I think, by the Broncos yet, but it's the worst kept secret in Rugby League currently that he's signed with the Broncos. But I feel like this might be the reason why we haven't seen anything yet, because the Warriors are still holding on to the fact that they want to actually have a player in return. And look at the Zach Lomax situation. I've heard this is a bit different of a situation where if you do grant someone basically the leave and let them go, it's sort of, you can't then go back and say, no, we want someone. But in saying that, they've asked the Broncos, this is according to Code Sports' Peter Badel, they want Grant Anderson. I believe he's only signed a 1-year deal at the moment with the Broncos, so he's probably up at the end of the next year, at the end of the season. They want Grant Anderson now. It was what the article was saying, which I find a little bit strange because they seem to have an abundance of backline talent at the Warriors at the moment. They've just signed, obviously, Will Warbrick as well, which looks like a fantastic signing. Interesting what's happening there, Brent. But what do you make of they want Grant Anderson as the player they've picked from the Broncos?
Yeah, poor bloke hasn't even got his bloody feet under the desk, has he?
He's about to make his club debut.
First gig this weekend, and they're already trying to move him on, and poor bugger. But no, and I must admit, I think it was about a week ago now, I heard initially when the Barney rumours broke that he was possibly going to Brisbane initially, and then he got linked to Para, and then it got back to Brisbane. There was murmurs going around that he was going to be there by soon. So I was like, oh, that's interesting, off one of the Bronco pages, it popped up, and I thought, oh, surely not. And now this has popped up as far as this whole player swap, and I mean, maybe it happens sooner than I was expecting, because I thought there was absolutely no chance. Yeah, as far as Grant Anderson's concerned, I mean, it's not, I wouldn't have thought that's overly appealing to the Wars, if I'm honest. And it was Peter Badel I heard a few days ago, mate. There was another young fella from the Broncos, and his name escapes me. I'll try and think of it while we're on the roll here, so I'll chime back in if I do. But there's a young outside back who's got big raps on him. He's a big unit of a thing, and he was initially the one they were looking at, potentially. I can't think of his name, I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, I would get it a bit more if it was like a younger player that they could potentially like a bit more potential. I'm not saying Grant Anderson isn't, but Barney's a rep level forward. To get Grant Anderson back for him, it seems like one of our draft trades in our Supercoach leagues that you have to not approve, mate, if I'm honest. So, look, it's a funny one. I don't want to knock Grant Anderson. He's got great utility. You could put him in any backline spot, centre wing. You could probably chuck him at fullback if you had to. You know what I mean? But he's certainly not the guy that I wouldn't have thought the Wars need as compensation for Barney. But the Broncos have always got a funny way of winning certain things off the field, and this is one of them. And mate, I just want to say it. The fact that, Reece Walsh never got to start with the Broncos. He went over to New Zealand to get his gig, and they let him go back. I know it would have been family, compassionate reasons with his daughter and all that, but they just let him walk straight back in. And a couple of years later, they've won a comp, largely off the back of a Reece Walsh run. Like, let's be honest. He was the reason they won the comp. They don't have Reece Walsh. They don't win the 2025 premiership. So for me, it was like, please just don't bend over again, Lars. Like, make him, if they want him soon up, make him pay. I don't think Grant Anderson's making them pay, if I'm honest, mate. But I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. What do you reckon?
I always feel a bit sorry for the Wars because they do this so well. They always put the players' needs first. And I feel like you have to, especially because when they are signing over these Australian-born talent that have all their family and friends and everything back in Australia, it probably comes with the territory that you probably, I wouldn't say you expect it, but you probably in the back of your mind going, there's probably, if we do sign this guy for a 3 or 4 year deal, there's probably a chance that we lose him early, or he comes to us saying he misses family or homesick, or something pops up, and we've got to probably do the right thing. We've got to hold a good name as a club and do the right thing. Like you said, though, it just feels like time and time again, they just cop the bad end of the stick, unfortunately. And I just hope moving forward, and even from this deal at the moment, they do get a bit out of it and it becomes like a precedence moving forward, because they've done this for a number of players, and they just sort of sit back. Luckily, at the moment, their juniors are really coming through strong, which I love to see. But yeah, from my point of view, I just feel like for the Warriors, I just want them to get something out of it. They deserve it. They're doing some great things. I just look at it. I just don't know who they really want or who they need, because I look at their squad. I look at the fact that they've still got a couple of those players. I know Barnett is leaving, but even without Barnett at the moment, Jackson Ford stepped up massively. Aaron Clark's a gun who's doing some great things. Fisher Harris still has a couple of years there. They've obviously got Halasima there. Like, they've just got some really good players. There's a number I still haven't even mentioned who are just getting better and better. Even their backline. I know there's talk that RTS and maybe DWS is gone at the end of the year, or maybe one may stay on. But then you've got Will Warbrick obviously coming next year, but again, hasn't been completely announced, but it looks like that has happened. Khan Pierre is currently at the club, and you have to assume he gets one of the wing spots. So if that means they want Grant Anderson to maybe play centre, I'm not fully with that either, because Lee Tauar's doing some good things. Pompey's just one of those underrated guns. It feels like every week he goes on there and just plays a 6 or 7 out of 10 and just gets the job done for him week in, week out. Rocco Berry, I'm a huge fan of. If he can get his body right, if he can go a season just being on the field, I don't doubt he would become like the top 5, 6 sort of centers in the game. Like, I have that much of a rap on Rocco Berry and what he can achieve in the game. They just need to get him fit, which is the unfortunate thing. So I just feel like Grant Anderson's not really a player they actually need.
No, I agree. It's not like a strike player of any real crazy caliber. Yeah, I think we still haven't probably seen the best of Grant Anderson, to be fair, and he does have a lot to offer. But yeah, I mean, like, for me, if you really wanted him, like someone like Xavier Willison, who's a Kiwi, you can play on, like, imagine adding him into that pack as a replay. But they're never going to do that, right? Xavier Wilson's the future post-Haas. I get it, but yeah. That would make more sense to me, but every Brisbane fan would have just vomited in their mouth hearing me say that, I'm sure. But like, realistically, you know what I mean? I agree with you, mate.
Let's get on to some TLT key talking points from round 3. So we spoke about just before. So Tuala has come in for Bronson Xerri at the Bulldogs. Just on that part of things, Brent, I just don't quite get this. I know if it's probably a statement, like, I get it, but dropping him for Tuala, Inari Tuala, like, I don't want to be disrespectful here, but I would rather Xerri out of form at the moment than Tuala in form at centre, and he's not even in form at the moment.
Yeah, mate, I'm well versed with the Nari Tawala being at Newcastle previously, and look, he's a little bit of a miss to fix it, but anytime he got named, I just thought, what are we doing? And probably a bit harsh. Like he's no superstar. Bloke's mate and a living playing rugby league, good on him, but yeah, he's not. I don't think he's a guy that you chuck his name on the team sheet and the defence, the opposition are too concerned about him, to be honest, and more so probably someone they would target. Centre, I also don't think centre's his best position. I think he's probably a better winger. So yeah, again, it's an interesting one.
And there's no late switch because you're not moving either Montoya or bloody. I had a mental blank on his name. Carraz, Carraz. You're not moving either of them to centre.
Yeah, I mean, it's you could chuck Carraz there, but he does his best work on the wing, right? You get rid of him off the wing, and you lose a whole heap of that backfield work that he does. We all know what he's capable of. So, yeah, again, just a funny one from Serraldo. I don't really get that, and I'd probably more get it if it was like a. Was Woodsy on the? Has Woodsy recovered yet? I can't recall if Woods. I don't think he's even made that extended. So
Sean O'Sullivan's on the extended.
If we're positioning for a Burton to centre, Woods in the halves, and then Galvin to 16, maybe I start to understand it a bit more, to be honest. But if Tawala's, I guess what goes on behind closed doors, how they train, all that sort of stuff is obviously a big part of it, and we don't see all that. But I am sure that Anari Tawala is going to be a player that the Raiders target on the weekend as something they look to exploit because he's dropping in there essentially for the first time in that dog side, and Ricky will go after it, I reckon.
Yeah, and look, doggies, if you want us to come and watch you train, just send us an invite. Send us in the mail. Drop in the DMs. We'll come down. We'll watch it, and we'll prove that we're wrong. I'll do a highball challenge or something. You can put me on show. No worries at all. Just quickly as well. So, any news-related stuff for tomorrow? We're doing a quick sort of early podcast. Then it goes back to the Tuesday night. So for the one with myself and Isaac, we're doing a Q&A tomorrow night. So if you want to drop in any comments here, if you've missed the social media post today, go ahead. If you're watching on YouTube, podcast, whatever it is. If you do have a question, you want it answered live on the show, you want to have a quick shout out as well on the show, just drop your comments in there, your questions. We will get to it Thursday night. And if you have any questions for us, for Brent, please drop them in as well, and we can get to them maybe on the Sunday show. Obviously, Brent does the Pack Lord stuff as well. So maybe if you have a cards question, put it in. We'll get to it. We might do a little segment regarding the cards moving forward. We'll see what happens there. Next up, Reece Robson makes an early return at hooker. I think this is going to happen now that we've seen, obviously, Josh Adokar return. A little bit different. Obviously, he doesn't hold the ball anywhere near as much as Robson does. But Iole obviously does drop out of this side now. It's a huge add-in. Obviously, his Roosters debut, Brent.
Yeah, mate, super excited to see this as a neutral. I think he could be something that the Roosters needed. Nothing against Suelu, great young up-and-comer, and huge fan of his, and his time will come. Connor Watson, same. We all know what he's capable of, but they signed Reece Robson for a reason. They went after him and got him. They could have just stayed with an LLU or a Watson for this season. They probably would have been fine. Reece Robson's another set of eyes you got to watch in around the ruck. He can, he's pretty crafty in there. He's obviously the Blues hooker as well. He's going to take some attention away from those halves and then also the guys that play out the back of the halves there. So I think it's a great addition for the Chooks. Good timing. They come up against the Panthers. He's probably going to have a little bit of match fitness to make up over the next few weeks. And, he's a great defender and all that sort of stuff. But I'm actually very excited to see Reece Robson for the Chooks. And I think he could be a really important piece for whatever they're aspiring to do this year. And if he stays fit and gets himself into a bit of form, I think he adds a very big dynamic to that Chooks attack. I think I'm just super excited to see him, mate. What about you?
It'd be interesting what the role is they make him play, because obviously they've got DCE and Walker, two big ball playing and probably demand the ball a lot as well. I'll throw into the mix James Tedesco. It'd just be interesting if he's just one of those pick the ball up and give, or if they allow him to do a little bit. Because, look, I don't think he's ever been known as much more than a meat and potato sort of hooker, but there is a little bit to his game, which I think will cause a few people by surprise. He does have a little bit of attack in him. It'd be nice if they can just mix it up from time to time, and he is allowed to do maybe a little run or something like that. So there's a lot of pressure on him as well this year. I think he'll want to hit the ground running for his New South Wales spot, which will be something that we quickly start to look at over the next couple of weeks. That'll quickly start approaching. And for mine, I'll probably have Blake Brayley ahead of him by a little bit at the moment. I think his form's just too much. You can't ignore it. So Robson will want to do a little bit to start standing out. He'll need to do a lot more than just that meat and potatoes to get that 9 jersey, I think. So that'll be one to watch over the next few weeks. Just quickly on that one, Brent? I know you're a massive New South Wales fan. Who would be your hooker right now, Brayley or Robson?
I think it'd have to be Brayley. I want to see Brayley in the sky blue. I just think he's so electric and dangerous. Yeah, get him on the roll. I want to see him in that arena. He's unreal.
Absolutely agree. Liam Martin makes his return, starting on the edge for the Penrith Panthers, which pushes Luke Garner back. Isaiah Papali'i stays on the other edge, and Sorensen looking like he's going to be doing more of that middle sort of stuff moving forward for the Panthers. Liam Martin, he's obviously just one of the best to do what he does. Absolute niggler. Teams hate to verse him. Penrith love it when he's in their team. For a team that started so well and just looks unstoppable, to be adding him now to the fray as well, Brent, they've just gotten themselves stronger, which I think has the whole competition going, holy shit.
Yeah, if it wasn't already bad enough for everyone, it just got even worse. So a lot of halves just put aside and put their heads down with Liam Martin rolling back in the side. He's just so reliable. He's a stalwart and a key part of their, that 4 premiership run team, and will be again. Just puts on a big shot when he needs. So I must admit, I bag him a bit as far as he's not the most glamorous player in the world, and he doesn't excite me over the top. Even Origin, I've been guilty of just like, why do we keep picking this bloke? But in the big moments, and they need a big play or a big shot or something, he's generally a guy that can produce it. So, yeah, big addition for that Rift pack, as if they weren't already humming as it was fine enough without him. And, yeah, you have the luxury now of being able to roll Sorensen through the middle, Garner. You can move him on an edge or into the middle as well, roll IPAP back in the centre as well. So, yeah, they're just getting some more options, which is not good for anyone else. But I think they'll be happy to have him back for sure.
Yeah, dangerous times indeed. At the Broncos, a bit more talk around the Broncos at the moment. So Shibasaki has been dropped. Anderson onto the wing for his club debut against his former side, the Melbourne Storm. And Xavier Willison has been moved onto the edge, which I absolutely love. We actually added a question I do a Legends exclusive podcast as well, guys. So if you're not already, go and become a legend. You'll see all our actual Rugby League rating players as well. So we're doing a bit different this year for League of Inches Player of the Year. We're going back to the Rugby League week out of 10 rating. So everyone gets rated out of 10 so far. We've got the ratings in there, the ladder, everything's up to date there. So $3.99 per month, get you exclusive access to all that plus more exclusive content, plus that extra additional podcast, which I normally drop about the Monday night mark. But yeah, Wilson, I think, needs to have some minutes. He's screaming for it at the moment. Just been very quiet the last couple of weeks, and I felt like in the preseason, a lot of talk about him being that guy that now steps up, especially with the Payne Haas news, and he's that sort of guy that's going to take that leap forward. So far, if we're going to be honest, he hasn't done anything to suggest he's going to be that figure. So hopefully this is what he needs, a bit more minutes and a bit more of that on the edge of running at some of the smaller guys, things like that might get his confidence up. But the big one I wanted to quickly talk about here, Brent, is the Shibasaki dropping, because 6 months ago, he was a rep player. He played for Australia. He played for Queensland, had the year of his life. Many people could not believe he was still sort of unsigned and still only on like 100 and something K still and things like that. My big worry for Shibasaki coming into this year was this happening. The fact that he's just been that guy that's floated in and around everything for so long now. He had this huge breakout year, and good on him. He absolutely deserved it. He was a gun. I was worried about this massive drop happening, and so far it seems to have, because he's been quiet, not just in defence where he's probably been a passenger, to say it nicely, but even attack where he's used to going off those Reece Walsh balls and things like that. He just hasn't been there yet.
Mate, can I just say, this 2025 season is one of the craziest things in, like they could make a movie about him in
Where'd
that
he come
2025
from?
season. Train and trial with the Broncos, wasn't potentially even going to be in the NRL, to winning a comp, uh, bolter for the Maroons, wins a Queensland State of Origin series, wins a grand final, makes the Ashes team, and travels to the UK. What a year for a bloke that, mate, when I remember that bloke at the Knights, he was mud. So, yeah, huge year, but man, how brutal is the business of rugby league? And already gone. I mean, last year it was like he just had spiders on him all the time. Everything he touched, every time he touched the ball, it looked like he was going to score a try. He had that awesome combination with Walshy on the left. It was a huge part of their little grand final and finals run too. It was a bit of a go-to for him, and then bang, see you later, round 3. Madge ain't mucking around. I guess one thing, Jolly, I guess people do forget it. He got into a bit of strife last year with some disciplinary action, as far as I think he turned up to training on the piss or something to that effect. Or
Yeah, just before finals as well.
yeah,
Horrible timing.
a bit hungover or whatever that was. So there was a little bit of, I guess, some insight into the conduct of old Shiba. Whether or not he's a little bit of a rascal, I don't know. You don't know what you see these things, but yeah, Madge did it then, and he's obviously not afraid to try. And I think Madge is a good coach for let's uphold those standards, and this could be one of those. And if it means they're trying to get Shiba back to what he was last year, then totally fine. And I guess it's proven to Shiba. He's sort of saying to him, "I don't really care what you've done if you're not going to, hold these up to these standards, you'll get dropped." So good on Madge. I know he's copping it deluxe, and they haven't started awesome, but still a great coach, and I'm sure they'll turn it around, and they need to. Big game against Melbourne this weekend. And let's see. I guess let's see how Shiba responds, because I think he's a contract year too, so he wouldn't want to muck around too much.
Yeah, it definitely is, and he's in that stage where he's probably asking for at least double, maybe triple of what he's asked or what he's on at the moment. And you'd say, being a rep player, he deserves it. But if he's going to be going to negotiation tables in reserve grade, it doesn't help him any bit whatsoever. So if you're his manager, especially, you're probably kicking him, going, "Mate, let's just knuckle down for the next month or two, please. We need to do this for yourself," and obviously maximizing the potential of making some pretty good coin over the next couple of years, which would be key. And I just hope, for his sake, he's not that flash in the pan player that we do often see hit the game, that this remarkable year, and then they just go by the wayside. Like, there is some serious potential for Shibasaki to have a really good, solid patch of 3 or 4 years moving forward, because he's come on late. He'll have a couple of really good years ahead. If he stays with the Broncos, especially, he gets to get fed by Reece Walsh every year. Like, what sort of centre 3/4 wouldn't love that? So hopefully he knuckles down. This is the wake-up call he needs, and we start to see the best of him. He's back in first grade sooner rather than later. Sharp returns for your boys, Brent. Obviously needed as well, with the fact that no Ponga, no Brown, so a bit of that X factor has definitely gone from the team. But you welcome back a guy who looked like he was going to put on a massive show in Vegas before injury struck. He partners Sandon Smith in the halves. I'm really looking forward to this halves pairing. I think it's a really good pairing. Obviously, it's not ideal losing your two best players in, but when you welcome this guy back, he is a freak. I love watching him every time he graces the paddock. I'm sure you love it just as much. You sit there in your Speedos watching, and yeah, Sharp, massive in.
Yeah, it was a sigh of relief, because it was potentially a bit 50-50 still. So I think the long turnaround from Vegas, nice. Please hope that they haven't rushed him in too early off the back of what's happened with KP and Dill Brown, because worst case scenario is he's underdone and he tweaks something, and we're in a situation where we don't have any of them. But yeah, mate, it was nice to see him named. He's an electric player, an exciting player to watch, and just a mad competitor. One of the best, and that's what I love about him. He competes for every play. We saw it in Vegas with that try he scores, and the ball is live. He competes. He's never dead. He's never out of the play. He's got a knack for scoring tries, pops up everywhere. And yeah, super excited to see this combination. I think this is a nice combination I would have been happy with if we didn't even sign a Brown. Don't get me wrong, Brown was awesome, and I can't wait to see what he builds for the rest of the year once he comes back, even though he's going to miss about a quarter of the season now. But Sharpie. We got the flying mullets too. Fletcher Hunt was impressive when he rolled in last week. So we got the flying Fletchers with the flying mullets. Let's see what they can produce. I'm just really interested to see how the boys turn up this week. A big game against the Wars. The Wars obviously rolling. Great pack. Tanner Boyd in some career best form. They've got some damaging outside backs when they get on a roll. So it is a big test. Our first game at home. Just keen to see how the boys respond defensively as well. We're going to miss those guys in attack, absolutely. And, outside backs are still untouched. We've still got some class in those outside backs. And I'm sure Sandon and Sharpie are going to be able to feed them some good ball. But I'm just super curious to see how we respond to this now, because in years gone by, this would be, oh no, we're going to get dusted by 40 here. But if we've turned a corner, I'm going to find out a lot about them this week, mate.
I'm telling you right now, so you've got a little bit of time before we get to this segment, but if your best bet for this game isn't a flying mullet multi, I'll be bitterly disappointed in you. So you've got a little bit of time there, you've got a bit of a heads up. Last one to touch on is a bit of word getting a bit louder, actually, and you rightly picked this up, is that Scotty Drinkwater potentially in some pretty big doubt for this weekend's game. Probably not a surprise. I was surprised he played last week, if I'm going to be honest with you, with obviously the injury. And now we've seen Reynolds out for probably a similar sort of injury as well. But the flow-on effect with this is it probably means Purdue goes to fullback. I put a post out yesterday. It's gained a bit of traction. I had a number of Cowboy supporters message me, including one of our sponsors, Jack Conley, the real estate agent. He said he hit the nail on the head. So I was happy to get some great sort of feedback from it. It wasn't a direct attack at all on Drinky. It was just more so trying to point out the fact that their best patch of game time at the moment has been a 15-minute window where it was Purdue at the back getting his hands on the ball a lot more, which take that wherever you want to take it. But in 160-odd minutes, where that is your best 15-minute window, that to me speaks volumes. So this may be a blessing in disguise. I'm not too sure. Don't know where this goes. Rugby League's a crazy, crazy sport. We see so many rumours. Already heard one or two rumours about it. May mean Drinky's leaving the club, but who knows there. But Brent, what are your thoughts on this one? It's a big move. It's obviously a game that they need to win, the Cowboys. They'd probably pencil it down as a 2-point game as well. Without Drinky, adding Purdue potentially at fullback, it looks like, makes them stronger, or?
It's another one of those ones where I never would have thought by round 3 we'd be at the point that we're at. And Toddy's obviously got his job on the line. Like, if they were to get dusted by the Titans at home and, start the year on 3, his days would be certainly numbered, wouldn't they? But yeah, interesting one. Drinky certainly hasn't been amazing, particularly in defence. The rib obviously didn't help him, but defensively, I don't know, is it the rib? But he's never been a noted defensive fullback. He's never been that guy. He's just brilliant ball player, one of the best ball playing fullbacks in the comp. Broken play also great, but yeah, defensively he was on up to it. And I think it's an interesting. The fact that he played last week and now the rumours are he's potentially getting dropped and they're going to call it a rib injury as well is another interesting one. I'd be super excited to see Purdue get a proper crack at fullback. That said, I think I've also seen Chester can play fullback and Laybart goes into that centre spot, so they've got some options there. But what do you do with Drinky, mate? Like, I'd assume he's on a decent wicket up there. Like, the contract wouldn't be small. I'd have to look how long he's got left up there as far as his remaining contract is concerned. And then if a player of Drinky's ability is potentially on the market, I mean, that's also a very interesting prospect for next year, where it's the Bears or the Dogs. Absolutely, yeah, that'd be super interesting. But yeah, it's an interesting one because from the outside looking in, you might think it's crazy, but again, if it's just Toddy is trying to enforce some of these standards or doing his last-ditch attempt to try and save his job, he's just trying whatever he can. I just would love to see Purdue get 80 minutes at fullback and just see what a player of his ability is. Very sharp-like. He's competes for everything. Anytime he's around the ball, there's something happening. He's so quick off the mark. He's dangerous. Broken play. Yeah, I'd probably be more excited about that. But the Drinky situation, as far as, this is being a potential dropping, is also another huge storyline up in North Queensland, isn't it?
I actually kind of hope it's a dropping. I actually want them to come out and say it's a dropping, because that makes a huge statement to this club and the current playing group. That the fact that one of your best players, thanks to the fact that the last 2 weeks he's been really poor defensively, especially his positioning and his efforts. Like, there was a couple of those trials on the weekend where that one for Dewey where he literally was just standing over the top of him. Most fullbacks would put themselves underneath that and just manage to hold him up. He literally just sat there watching it. That's disgraceful. At this level, if that was others, like I've heard people, obviously, because I'm a supporter of the club, but come out and bag on you and stuff for like being out of position once or twice in that Broncos game. Then I look at someone like Drinky who's doing those efforts. That's pointing out to me a lot more. When your fullback's there, not even putting his body on the line, that's a worry. And I've heard a lot of people say, all right, maybe put Purdue back to fullback and then Drinky to 5'8". There is no way in the world I want him in the front line of defence. There is absolutely no way. Their edge defence and front defence is horrendous as it is. Imagine having that channel where then you have to have your centre and your edge forward. We're worrying about babysitting him as well. That would be a complete schmozzle. That could not happen. So, yeah, it's interesting how they go with it. I think there's a bit of a talking point coming, I reckon, with all this. I think if it is potentially the last straw and this is Peyton trying to save his job, credit to him for trying something if it is a dropping. I do have a feeling maybe it is just the injury side of things. Maybe it's wishful thinking that it could be the fact that he's getting dropped for defence. But really, if we're talking about defence and efforts, he should be dropped. So see how it all pans out, I guess.
Yeah, look, like I said, brilliant attacking fullback. Don't get me wrong, and they need to be able to score points. So it'd be mad for him to be dropped. He just has some fundamentals. He's even a shocker, and KO Weeks is the same. For bombs go up and they just let it bounce and stuff like that. That's just, these are the fundamentals as fullbacks. You can't just be letting the midfield bomb bounce and go anywhere.
Especially when your team's on the back foot. Like they've started the year under pressure. You're wanting like this. If we're looking at the Dragons, like Gutho's everywhere still. Like everyone's bagging the Dragons, but he's trying his ass off to get them through and getting them wins and stuff where you just think the effort's sort of like sort of half-assed.
And that's the thing, right? Same goes for Connor Tracy. Like, not the most talented bloke in the world, but he'll bust his ass for you 110% week in, week out. And that attribute is more important than talent, right? Like, hard work will, well, what's the saying, hard work will do better than talent if talent doesn't work hard, sort of thing, So it's that sort of thing, like defensively, there's a number of fullbacks in the NRL that are quite poor, and even someone like Reece Walsh, he had some really great moments through their final series last year, and some huge moments in that grand final, particularly on Kamika and that tackle on Paps. Don't get me wrong, but he's not a defensive fullback, and he gets caught napping all the time. So, yeah, I think there's a few fullbacks in the game that are probably similar, and it's kind of shit to see, to be honest. Some of them are bloody shocking. Like, the defensive efforts remind me of bloody under sixes putting their arms out and that sort of stuff, but yeah, it's tricky. I'm not an NRL player. I probably couldn't even run 100 metres without having to stop for a break, mate. So I won't throw stones in my glass house too much.
We'll sit here. We'll throw it. We're okay. Just don't invite us to do a hit-up challenge or something like that, guys. Please spare us. We're not keen. We'll just sit here from afar and tell you what to do. Let's head on over to our best bets and tips segment of the podcast. And there's a little bit to talk about here. So, firstly, guys, obviously, just what's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Shout out to bets.com.au, our major sponsor for this part of the podcast. Head on over to bets.com. They do plenty of not just finding you the best odds possible on the market for whatever you're betting on. They're linked with a heap of betting agencies. They've also got plenty of articles. You see me pop up an article here and there as well. I do a few things for them. They do it for all sports as well. They're big on all sports, guys. They're literally just passionate sport lovers. Great blokes as well. Get around them, bets.com.au. And huge shout out here because we've got a new betting side apparel, not apparel, betting agency that's come on board for our odds exclusively. So we've tied in now with Betr. So very much thank you to those boys who are partnered with bets.com.au as well. So it works really nicely. Nice little family we've got going now from the betting side of view. So all our odds moving forward, betting slips and everything will be through Betr on the app, and I'll find a way. I'll create a little League of Interest thing. You can follow us, do all that sort of stuff, and I'll share our bets. In the show notes, guys, there'll be an affiliate link. So if you aren't a Betr customer yet, you want to be, if you want to help us support the page a little bit more as well, go click that link, fill in your details, join. It takes literally about 2 minutes. It literally is the easiest process ever. And they're up. I'll be 100% honest with you. They haven't even asked me to say any of this sort of stuff. Very easy to use. It's a very easy, simple app to use. Some of them I've found over the last year or so. I tried a few different ones. Very confusing. It's like, oh, okay, what am I doing here type thing. Very simple. You just glide through. Very, very basic. Absolutely love it. Brent?
Jolie, I must admit as well, they've been one that I jumped on a couple of years ago because they were offering a great promotion when they initially launched for 100 to 1 odd markets. I don't know if you recall, you could pick any team 100 to 1. I think it was max $10. So that 2023 premiership year of the Panthers snatched it off the Broncos. I reckon, I don't know how they're still going, to be honest, but they've done it for the AFL. They did it last year as well. So they do some really great promos and some good markets, mate. I've been booted from one of the more prominent ones. I'm not even going to mention their name. And ever since then, I can't get around many of the other ones, but Betr has definitely got a good range of markets and that sort of thing. So, yeah, definitely check them out if you haven't already. Shout out to Betr.
Absolutely. Click the link and you'll see a few of the links get posted throughout the weekend with our bet slips as well. Let's go talk about the weekend that was, Brandon. Apologies out there. It wasn't our best one. Let's just be out there and put that up straight away. So it was a bit of a struggle. Very happy with the one I got, with the nostalgic side of things. But from Broncos v Eels, I had a Shibasaki anytime try scorer. It didn't happen. And you had Mr. Kidiona Katoga as an anytime try scorer. Did not happen either, unfortunately. So a couple of red squares there. Warriors v Raiders. So then it started and I thought, holy shit, here we go. I had a Pompey first try scorer. It didn't happen. Guess what? Brent had a week's anytime try scorer, which paid off, paid in $2.90. And guess what the dagger in the heart was? He scored first. So it was really a massive middle finger. I basically sent Brent a message to quickly say, kids, cover your ears. Fuck you, basically. That was a real just rub the salt in the wound moment for me. And I thought, this is going to be the tale of the weekend. I'm not keen for this at all. But next game, Roosters Rabbits, Alex Johnston, come of the man, come of the moment. I just knew it was going to happen. I thought 2+ bets for Alex Johnston was a sure thing over the weekend. Got it for $3.05 and it paid off. You had a Fafita anytime try scorer. Unfortunately, all the left edge cared about the other night was getting Alex Johnston across the line and never really looked like happening for any of the others. It was all Alex Johnston there. Tigers, Cowboys. I had a Tigers 1-12. They were just out of the blocks. Huge. Lukey, anytime try scorer. Got close-ish there for one or two of those runs, but not quite going to happen for him, unfortunately. Dragon Storm. We both went the edge back rollers, which just didn't happen for us. They scored everywhere else. It was a Suafa Longo put on a show. Penrith v Sharks. Again, I had the Panthers 1-12. Didn't happen. You went to Mr. Iro, anytime try scorer. Hasn't got off the nudie run yet. He's huge streak for him. 2 games without a try. That's unheard of for Kyle Iro. Or KL Iro, I should say. So keep an eye. He may feature again this week for someone. Sea Eagles v the Knights. Nothing again. The rest of it's just nothing, guys. Cooler didn't happen. And Lucas, anytime try scorer for Brent. He's been a little bit quiet so far this season to start. Lucas, maybe just getting into the season, building a bit of confidence with his body, and he'll start shooting off shortly. Final one, Dolphins v the Titans. I had Lemueli. It was the wrong edge. Fina Fuiaki is killing it at the moment. Wish I went him. And then Brimson, anytime try scorer for Brent. Couldn't do anything apart from, I think, kick a ball out on the full. So he wasn't that good either. And unfortunately, Hail Marys didn't come off either. They weren't that close. I'm not even going to bother to actually read over for them because I think we got 1 or 2 right for in about 3 or 4 legs. So not great there. Totals. So I've clawed about 15 cents back on Brent this week. So, hey, it's something. I'll take it as a win. Any win I can get at the moment because he's shot out of the blocks. So Brent's on $20.89. I'm on $13.85. Do you have a post-mortem about the weekend, Brent?
Mate, I've changed my tact a little bit. I figured if I'm going to get them wrong, I may as well go for some doozies in the process.
Oh, no.
So there's some absolute dogs incoming tonight. I'll warn you of that.
Oh, look, that scares the shit out of me. Thanks for that. All right, let's get into it then. So let's go our tip and then also our best bet. So first up, Thursday night game, Raiders against the Bulldogs. What have we got here from your tip and your best bet, please, Brent?
Mate, I'll preface this whole thing by there's a number of games that I'm finding hard to tip this week, and this is one of them. Raiders will be looking to bounce back off the back of that disappointing loss last week. Obviously, it's a hard trip over there in New Zealand, especially when it's raining. So, they'll be disappointed with that. Ricky will certainly have absolutely flogged the boys, I would have thought, this week. Dogs coming off a long turnaround. Look, we haven't seen much of the Dogs, have we? They weren't super impressive in Vegas, but they got the job done. Adam O'Brien is their attacking coach now, so gee whiz, read into that what you will. But I just feel like it's a tough road trip, but I just feel like the Dogs get it done. I think there's just a little bit more on that Dog side of the park. It will be a dog fight, but I've got the Dogs in this one. Even the away trip, but they've got the extra week, and I reckon they're going to try and get off the year to a good start.
I don't mind it at all. I've actually tipped the Raiders here. I feel like the Raiders might get it done. And with that, I was just thinking them at home. They got embarrassed on the weekend. We've seen so far this year, a lot of teams do bounce back after that sort of embarrassing performance. And I'm just hoping the Raiders do that here. And I've got the Raiders 1-12 as my best bet. Get it at the moment for $3.25. Brent?
I found it difficult to find a punt in here as well. So I've just gone a bit of a Hail Mary, but it's not a Hail Mary. So I've just gone on big Tapane first try score at 51s. Big unit. Every now and then a prop's good for one. I don't know why. I was just gravitating there, and you get that up here to start the week. If that one gets up, I'll get the deep heat ready or whatever it'll be.
It'll be the cold shower. I'll be posting a video of me just sitting in it, crying my eyes out. Please, Joe Tarpany, whatever you do not score the first try. Fuck me, that would just destroy me. But well done to you. Hope it comes off. Not,
mate. If I'm going to look like an idiot getting these wrong, I may as well have a crack.
Go for it. Why not? Next game up, just to start with as well, these first three games are absolutely, what a way to start the weekend. We've been spoilt here as Rugby League fans. Next up, Roosters v. the Penrith Panthers. For me, I can't go past the Penrith Panthers the way they've started this year. They're adding one of their alphas back into the pack as well in Liam Martin, who will just continue to set that standard, which has already been there. So it's just, if anything, might go to an extra level, which is scary at this time of year. I can't get away from I'm tipping the Penrith Panthers, Brent.
Yeah, riff for me, mate. I agree with you. I think it's just too hard to tip against them at the moment. And Roosters were a little bit better last week, but they still didn't overly impress me. Yes, Reece Robson's new, but there's again now a new sort of combination, if you will, that they've got to build on there. So go on the riff. Best bet wise, mate. Based on that, I'm going the riff for the line -5.5 and under 45.5 total match points. So I'm backing a similar sort of result as to what we saw last week against the Sharks, and I'm getting $3.80 about that.
Not bad at all. I got a Dylan Edwards. He seems to score in these bigger games quite often, so I got him as an anytime try scorer. $2.62. Storm versus the Broncos, the grand final rematch from last year. I don't mind the Broncos in this one to an extent. I think there's going to be a lot of people out there that write the Broncos off, Brent. I like the fact that there's no Adam Reynolds. I think that means Reece Walsh goes to what we know he can go to. People have seen my Supercoach post already. I've gone early on Reece Walsh. I know a lot of people are waiting for next week. I actually don't mind him for this week. I think the Storm edges, like you said, against the Dragons, who don't have the attacking arsenal that the Broncos can have when they're on. They could do some things there and score a number of tries thanks to Reece Walsh. So I think no Adam Reynolds, Reece Walsh pulling the strings for an 80-minute performance. I really like what the Broncos can do. I think they can push the Storm a lot. I think the Storm will have the class just to get it done, but I think it'll be a lot closer than people are thinking. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, you look at this and you straight away, just given what's happened for the year, just default Storm down there. Broncos still yet to win a game, but plenty of merit in what you said. Reece Walsh is going to put some of those young, they're not, I guess, young, but some of those new edge combinations. You got to consider you got Chan, Lasardi, still relatively they're not established stalwarts at back row there. You got Moses, Leo, as I said, Val. Yeah, he gave him a bath last week and he looked ordinary a couple times, to be fair. Reese's best attacking spots are out on those edges, and he'll put some of these boys in some deep water, I think. So there's merit in going Walshy from a Supercoach perspective. Just quickly on that, Jolly, I think the 130 break even is just, I've just got to wait a week. I know that he's capable. He's sort of matchup proof, but I just feel like I'd probably get him a little bit cheaper. And, you never know what can happen in a week of footy as well. Not to try and put the mocker on your trades, but that's sort of where I'm at the moment.
Mate, that's all right. When he scores 130 on the weekend, I can just sit there and just stick my
finger up. Eat your humble pie. Eat your humble pie. I'm a Drinky owner, so it would be really easy for me to go Drinky to Walshy, but I'm hoping Drinky gets dropped because he's got 170 break even. And if he plays and has a stinker, he's going to hemorrhage cash. But anyway, I'm just going to go to the Storm, mate. I'll play it safe in this one. I've gone a bit of a doozy, if you will, with the bet for this one. So, yeah, I mean, I haven't. My Hail Mary actually isn't as crazy as some of these, but I've gone Stagsy, talking to Moses Leo. I just think he was pretty ordinary. I've gone Stags anytime. I'm going back to me boy. I've got on him every week so far, and I'm just going to stay there because I'm just such a big fan of leg speed Lasardi. I just love watching him. I've gone Stags, Lasardi, and Big Stefano each to cross for some meaties, and 67s for that one.
Oh, honestly, I could turn up on Sunday in the biggest hole of all time. I'm not looking forward. I'm going to be watching these games very nervously. I've gone a same game multi as well, funnily enough. I've just gone a lot more simple. I've just gone both fullbacks to put on a show in a big game, Friday night blockbuster. Both fullbacks to score a try anytime. $3 and let me double check these odds here because I actually did this before some confirmation of a few things. So bear with me quickly. I think, as I said, both fullbacks will be putting on an absolute show though in this one, Brendan. I think what I like the most, I think Farlonga's obviously got his confidence up now. And like I said before, Reynolds being out means Walsh just has to have his hands in everything. So I think both fullbacks will be putting on an absolute show. What do you think?
Mate, how good are some of these fullback matchups we're getting now? The modern day fullbacks are just arousing. There's just so many great young fullbacks in the game, and this is another absolute pearl of Walsh and Farlonga. How good's that? But yeah, well, I presume Benny Hunt goes to 7, and we see Moser roll into that bench too. Jolie,
yeah, Moses coming to the bench. So
love to see that. Really keen. I just want to see Moser on the field. I can't believe they've held him back like this for so long, but I just want to see Moser playing some footy too.
$3.25 you'll get for that little multi at the moment. So very happy with that one there. Next, your boys, the Newcastle Knights take on the Warriors. First home game of the year. I think the place will be rocking despite a couple of the main stars out for this one. I'll let you go first with this. What are you thinking? What are your thoughts?
This is I've gone heart or heart here. I'm going my boys. I'm backing them at home. We've started the season well. Do I have some faith in the new coach there in Holbrook? I'm going to give him some. So we're backs against the wall, if you will. Look, we still haven't put out a terrible team. It's certainly not our best side, but apart from $3 million sitting on the pine this week in 2 players, we're not we haven't shaped up too badly. So first game at home, I'm backing the boys, but it's going to be a big lift. The Wars aren't without their issues either. They've got a young fella on debut, Hansen, who's also meant to be class, but that pack's also looking mean again, and I'm really looking forward to Trey Mooney taking on a few of those boys, to be honest. So, but yeah, I'm sticking with you boys. I have to do it this week.
I'm going to be going the Warriors. I just think that the loss of the 2 big guns is big, but I really like what I've seen from the Knights so far. It would not surprise me if we're talking on Sunday and the Knights have pulled off a miraculous victory at all. For my best bet in this one, I have a feeling both sides may be a little bit off. Obviously, Knights, especially with a few of their big stars out. I think the Warriors might resort to a bit more of a grinding sort of game away from home. I've gone the unders for the total match, so 49.5 is the unders here. Just $1.90. So my little tactic here this week, I've gone a couple of these little 190 pops just to sort of hopefully keep the kitty rolling a little bit, and then hopefully on top of that have some icing and some sprinkles with a few of these $3, $4, $5 sort of pops coming off as well, and hopefully the Hail Mary. So, Brent, what do you got?
Oh, mate, it's like you read into the future, to be honest. It's quite funny. We've we've heard a lot about the flying mullets already, and I think it'd be remiss of me not to chuck them both into an anytime try scorer
Yes.
multi, would it? So both the flying mullet Fletchers are in me anytime try scorer multi, and you're getting them Fletcher Sharp and Fletcher Hunt both anytime, $7. There's no greater sight than a couple mullets crossing for meaties, so I'm all over the boys this week.
It pains me to admit I really like that one actually. So, and I actually picked up Fletcher Hunt on one of my drafts this week, which I was pretty happy with. I needed a fullback, so I'm praying he actually goes over the line for 1 or 2 as well. Sharkies versus the Dolphins. Sharks been very disappointing last week against the Penrith Panthers. Dolphins so far, I know they got the win on the weekend, but they've been bitterly disappointing to start this season, if we're going to be honest. They've got a team that many predicted would be pretty much a top 6 team coming into this year. Hasn't started anything like it. They really need to start pulling the finger out. And it's a good game for either team to make a statement on this one and to show that they're up for the fight, especially early days, and relieve a little bit of pressure that might start to build for whoever does lose this one. At home, though, Brent, I think the Sharks will be too good. Especially they need to make a statement. After last week and just being so disappointing, they need to come out and make a statement, especially because it's at home.
Yeah, mate, I've actually gone a bit of an upset here. I'm going to tip the Dolphins against better judgment. I just think they were terrible last week, and they got a get out of jail free card, if you will. And I just think they need to produce something as well. I know the Sharks obviously do, and they're certainly going to be a top 4 contender this year. But you got to make up some ground somewhere in your footy tipping, and I'm just throwing the Dolphins in there as a bit of a roughie this week.
Love it. I've got a same game multi for this one. So I've gone back to my Supercoach days, which this didn't work well for me the other week when I did this. But hey, if it doesn't work, try again until it actually works, and you can go, hey, I was onto something. So this will be probably me by round 26 doing the same multi. I've gone KL Iro talking about him, and I've gone Herbie Farnworth. Heard of him? I have, definitely. Anytime try scorers, hopefully a little bit wet. I would like to see the wet hair Herbie look and just oiled up, and off we go. So I think both will score a try. $4.20. I was surprised by that. I thought they may have been a little bit short of it. I'm happy to take $4.20 for those two both to cross over.
I like it. You'd get a bit of wet-haired Nico as well, the wet-haired Prince. So, yeah, I like it. There's $4.20 about and a couple of boys that are frequents at the bakery. I like it. Mate, I've gone a really weird one looking back on this. I don't know what I was thinking, trying to make this one a low scorer. But I've gone the Finns 1-12, and I'm tipping it to be under 55.5 points total, which is interesting. Maybe it'll be a bit closer than... I don't know, they can really open up and score some tries, but just gone against the grain. Yeah, against the grain, if you will. So Finns 1-12, under 55.5 total match points, and I'm getting $7.25 about that.
Some juicy odds coming through at the moment. I'll tell you what, it does pay. I have noticed as well, it does pay to put some of these on early, because once you get closer to the weekend, some of these odds drastically short. I was the victim of that last week. I put most of my bets on for what we did last week, and then I got to the Sunday games. I forgot to put them on. Then I got to Sunday, and the odds for both of the bets I put on were just reduced massively. I was like, oh, far out. We've got South versus Tigers. I'm keen to watch this on the Sunday night. I think it's interesting to see where both teams are actually at. I think it could be a really high-scoring game as well. I think South will want to bounce back after... They were playing well. Obviously, then the record happened. Things just went haywire for them, and they lost against the arch rivals. I don't think they'll want to start the year 1 and 2. It won't be a true representation of what I think we've seen from the Bunnies so far this year, though they've been a much improved side from the naked eye. So I think the Bunnies will be too good here. But, man, I really liked what I've seen from the Tigers on the weekend. If they can bring that form into this game, they can cause the Rabbitohs massive headaches.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see this one too, Jolly. It could be an epic shootout. We could just be seeing try after try after try. Tallis Duncan comes into the starting team for the Rabbits as well, so Aiken moves back to that bench. Whether or not we see a switch between Fafita and Duncan remains to be seen. I wouldn't have thought so, but maybe something to keep an eye out on. Yeah, look, obviously easy to get swept up in the Tiger Mania, but they did run downhill against a very ordinary Cowboys side last week. So let's see what they're capable of against a team that's certainly going to ask a few more questions. But this is an absolute mouth-watering clash, mate, and very much looking forward to this one as well.
What do you got as your best bet?
Loose again. I can't get away from these guys. I don't know what it is. They must just have some subconscious attraction to them. But this one's a juicy one, if you will, as well. I'm going the Trell double into a Fafita anytime at $14.
You can't get away from this left edge, can you?
I can't get away.
You want to get away from the obvious choice. You're just trying to ram home in. And one try is not good enough. You're doubling down.
Mate, I looked at hat-tricks. Don't worry about that.
And to be fair, at the moment, Latrell's up against Skelton, which I think he'll go to the wing. It will be Taruva, I think, will play centre, and I don't mind that matchup at all. So you could be onto something there. And I think now that they've got the record and they can go back to sort of playing their normal games, Fafita charging on close to the line could easily happen off a Cody Walker little pop pass as well. For me, I've actually gone one back to my little roots where I've gone, you know what, let's just get one of these bank boosters that just pops up a little bit. I actually just think this would be a massive attacking game. So I've gone the overs, 53.5 match points, $1.85 you will get for that one. So the shortest bet I've done since this opening segment has started this for the last few weeks. I just think it's almost a given that happens. I think this would be an attacking masterclass. Parramatta taking on the St. George Illawarra Dragons. This will be the first game for the Eels at home at CommBank, which will be great to see. I tell you what, I'm a nervous Parramatta fan coming into this game, and some people out there might think I'm crazy. I actually think the Dragons have been playing some pretty good football to start the season. They just haven't, like last year, haven't reaped the rewards from it, unfortunately, which is not the best to see. That they're trying their absolute hardest. You can see they look better when their young forwards are on. I'm really intrigued by that. I'm wanting to see how Flanagan starts to approach this because surely as the coach, you can see it. The fact that how much they do lift when these young guys come off the bench, it almost is forcing the hand, in my opinion. As it's a Parramatta home game and it's the first of the year, I will go the Eels, but I am very, very nervous. Would not surprise me if the Dragons can get the job done here and actually finally put an 80-minute performance together. Brent?
Yeah, this was one of those tricky ones this week too. I found it really difficult because I also think the Dragons haven't been too bad. And they've had a really tough start to the year, obviously, with the Dogs in Vegas and into the Storm. So, yeah, apart from some sewer brilliance last week, they were certainly with them for a fair chunk of that game and came back at them. Like, they could have gone into a shell and they didn't. So, good signs there for the Dragons. Little comes back onto that bench as well. So, there's a little dynamic there. He's a little bit underrated as well. I know Cookie's been brilliant, but a bit of fresh little legs always dangerous. Yeah, mate, nothing against your boys, and obviously you were brilliant to defeat the defending premiers last week. But I just feel like the Dragons are doing some good things, and then I don't think going away teams is always a great way to tip in general. But I've gone the Dragons this week, mate. Just I found it hard, and what I've seen so far, I just feel like they're not far away from a win.
No, it's all right, mate. Thanks for being part of the podcast, and we'll see you around sometime. My best bet is. Tell you what, I really like the Parramatta edge defense has been shocking. It really just hasn't quite been there. So I've gone Jaden Sewer to score at anytime try scorer, 375, which I thought was fantastic odds. So I was all over that.
Yeah, I like it. You know me, I love a good anytime. I tried to change it up this week because I'll be anytime every time. Mate, I've gone the Dragons head-to-head just because I thought there's a little bit of value there. They were 275, but then I've gone that into a one of three players to get the first try. So it'll be the Dragons head-to-head, and I've got either the Fox, Chewy Pilotu, or Val Holmes to be the first try scorer in combination with the Dragons head-to-head is $8. So not amazing value, but I found that one tricky, so it was just a bit of an exotic.
Mate, that's good odds for that, I reckon. That's some very good possible first try scorers. So I like that. Last one, a Queensland derby, Cowboys versus the Titans. And if ever there's a team that needs a win, it's both of these ones. So the pressure will ramp straight up if the Cowboys don't win this one. Cowboys at home, simple fact is that's the reason I'll be tipping them. Their first home game of the year as well. I feel disgusting tipping them because I really think they've just been probably the worst team in the comp so far to start the year, maybe edging with Manly. But I just think at home that has to do something for them, surely.
Yeah, and it's a hot and humid place to travel to, isn't it? It's a bit of a road trip, so it's not a place you want to go to 0-2, which the Titans were. I mean, they were definitely a lot better. They made that one a bit of a dogfight last week, but it wasn't a pretty game of footy. I'm with you, mate. I have to go the Cows, but I didn't feel great about this one.
My best bet, he's actually come in since I looked at the odds last, which is just telling you enough. So get on him if you are wanting him. A Jackson Purdue anytime try scorer with the rumours happening, him being fullback, but it's only $1.80. I don't love that. I was hoping he'd be a little bit higher, at least double the money, but I will take it. I'll run. I think he surely scores a try.
I like it, mate. I've gone a dirty, I'm going to call this a Supercoach multi because my interest here is just my Supercoach players purging the points. So I've gone a filthy Helam Lukey double. I just feel like if they open up the Titans, they could really open them up into Purdue anytime as well. And I'm getting $12 for that. And if that happens, my Supercoach team is blowing up deluxe, so I'll be absolutely flying.
There's a few reasons I hope that doesn't pay off, and no worries at all. And finally, let's finish it off with our Hail Mary for this week, Brent. I have a feeling this is a week that one of us gets it. I'm going to say it now. I think early days, one of us is about to take off with a Hail Mary. My one, I've gone the Raiders, Penrith, and the Melbourne Storm to all win their games 1-12 at the time of recording, which is what? Wednesday at about 9:20 p.m. Queensland time. I can get this for $33.15. So I was all for that. I was rapt to get that. What's your Hail Mary, Brent?
Sorry, can you read that? It was the Raiders, Storm, and the Riff all 1-12 at 33s.
Yes.
That's juice. That's juicy. I like that. Gee whiz, I'm scared of that one.
That's what I thought. I thought I put something in wrong.
Yeah.
But
those 1-12, if you get them, I remember a few years ago, one of my best ever multis was 3 games on a Super Saturday, all the 1-12s, and we all fed that night, that's for sure. Mate, I just can't get away from it. No, I don't. It was good. Mate, I've gone back to the well, if you will. I've gone the big Trell mitt. I just think he's not far off a day out. I've gone the Trell mitt Hattie at $17 this week.
That's it. The Hattie, you're just doubling down.
Trell, I was thinking about I was actually considering into Jermaine McEwen at $5 anytime because I think that's huge value, but I just thought, I'll look like an idiot bad enough going a Trell hat trick. But anytime you can call a hat trick, you're just going to be an absolute legend. So just remember this moment, and I want a statue if it comes off.
Honestly, to channel the vibes you're having here about Latrell, if he's not your screensaver for the next week heading into this game, you're not a true gambler. You need to go all in now with Latrell Mitchell. He needs to be screensaver. He needs to be your ringtone, him talking, saying something. Just all in. Thank you.
Trell Mitt vibes inbound. I reckon that's fair.
Far out. Him having a field day against the Tigers, that would give him nightmares. But that is it, guys. That is all we've got time for. I hope you enjoyed the show. Let us know maybe if you've got a best bet. Let us know. Let us know your tips. Questions, please get them in, guys, for both us and then obviously for our podcast with Isaac tomorrow night. Get any question you in. One of the leading journalists in the game at the moment. He's got all the ins, got some great contacts. So it's a great time to get some questions in. And whether it's on the social media post or you just want to drop it in wherever you're watching or listening, we will get to them through the episode. But thank you once again to Brent. Thank you to all the sponsors out there, to Caxton Street Brewing Co., bets.com.au, and Betr for providing the odds tonight. We will see you all again very, very soon. Enjoy the football, and goodbye for now.